All right, let's cut across to the latest news break that is also coming in. India has 25 days of crude oil and refined oil stocks, scouting for alternative sources for importing crude oil, LPG and LNG. Government sources have confirmed no immediate plan to raise the price of petrol, diesel. However, there is bound to be impact where gas and oil is concerned with the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. And India, 80% of the oil that India has depended on comes in from Iran and through the Strait of Hormuz. Will this now put pressure on India to at least, buy more oil from Russia, which it had already scaled down, keeping in mind the tariff war with the US? Well, the latest that's coming in is, and that has been confirmed by India, that it has 25 days of crude oil and refined oil stocks. There will be an urgent need to scout for alternative sources for importing of crude oil, gas, LPG, LNG. However, government sources have confirmed to India today that currently there is no immediate plan to raise the price of petrol and diesel. But what seems to be suggested that if the conflict in West Asia continues in the manner of which that we are witnessing with the Strait of Hormuz shut, a direct implication of that will be felt where gas and oil consumption across the world is concerned. China, largely dependent on its oil reserves where Iran is concerned, through the Strait of Hormuz. And the Strait of Hormuz has now been shut for the past 48 hours. And the pinch of that will now already be felt by many countries, including India. India has come out and stated that we have stocks for 25 days, but there will be a need to now scout for alternative options where oil and gas is concerned. For now, as per government sources, there is no price rise of petrol and diesel. Let's get an expert into this mix. Chetan Bhutani is joining us on the phone line. Mr. Bhutani, the government has said we have reserves for 25 days. That doesn't sound very good. There will be a need to scout for alternative options. Where does Russia stand in there? But importantly, also the government has said for now, there is no increase in prices of gas and oil.
Well, absolutely. As the geopolitical tensions rise in the Western Asia, particularly on the Strait of Hormuz, the Indian government actually does not expect any immediate energy supply crisis thanks to the strategic reserves and supply diversification options. Well, actually, government officials have indicated to business today that India currently has a sufficient buffer stock to manage short-term disruptions. Strategic reserves can support about LPG and LNG demand for about 15 to 20 odd days if needed, while crude oil reserves are estimated to last about 40 to 45 days in the event of supply disturbances. This preparedness comes at a time when concerns are mounting globally over the Strait of Hormuz, a key maritime choke point through which a significant portion of India's LNG is imported. However, the government officials are also suggesting that even in the prolonged disruption or closure of the strait, India retains the flexibility to pivot its energy sourcing to alternative markets to meet domestic demand. However, while physically supply disruptions appear unlikely in the near term, energy markets have already begun reacting to the geopolitical uncertainty. So clearly, India is not actually witnessing an energy crisis, and the government sources are indicating that we will not be seeing any energy crisis as of now because India has strategic reserves and actually can pivot to different markets if demand arises.
All right, now pivoting to different markets, what does that quite mean? Because one market that India was looking at shrinking was Russia and already en route to do so. Will we scale consumption there? Well, that remains to be seen. Chetan, thank you for joining us.